Hello everyone, this is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories. So sign up and be our next guest. Hi, Scott. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. And you wouldn't believe the technical issues we've had, but you know, that's life. We overcome everything. The amazing thing about Scott is I am in awe of what he's achieved in the time that he's done it. And also the fact that he's a massive entrepreneur who hasn't stopped, but less about that. I want you to tell your story to us today, Scott. Over to you.
Well, CHRISTA, thank you so much. I think half the success of entrepreneurs is being able to adapt and overcome when you deal with technological issues or life throws a wrench into the machine. And we see that especially all across the country. The world has had a error in the machine the last couple of years with the pandemic and everything, and people are having to pivot and reinvent themselves. And coming on this podcast here with you, I started thinking about stories of things that have helped impact me, but also maybe a message that will impact your audience here today. And I'm honored to be here. And one thing that really resonates with me, I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. I am a very active real estate investor, very active marketer and podcaster as well. I leverage marketing for my business. But I think that the number one story I could tell your audience today that would have the most impact is you have to bet on yourself today. The idea of working in a career, I think one of your previous guests was talking about that. Hey, it's okay to have a career, but at some point you've got to kind of bet on yourself because others won't bet on you at some time. They'll look at you as a number on the bottom line. And when I think about the times that I bet on myself, it really kind of comes back to one time, roughly about 14 years ago. I was sitting here in Austin, Texas, just really depressed and down in the dumps. I'd had divorce take place. I'd had a business relationship that went south, and the market was in the tank here. And I'd sold my part of the business for basically $1 because that was about it with a great recession that was kicking here in the United States at the time. And I was listening to one of my mentors talk about how he was one of his most successful actions was when he was down the dumps by sharing what he was going through. So I started to share what I was going through on social, started to share what type of deals I was doing because I'm very niche focused on buying distressed debt, which most people don't understand what that is. But if you ever watched a movie called The Big Short, that's kind of what I do. So I'm sitting here watching TV one night at my brother's house because I just sold my main house and other things. And out pops this commercial about, it was a MasterCard commercial about, $5 to go to to get a hot dog, $10 for a beer, seeing all 30 Major League Baseball parks with your family priceless. I was like, that would be so awesome to do. I'm a huge baseball fan. I said, well, I wonder what it would take, write down your goals. I was hearing, I heard somebody say, write down your goals. So I pull up websites, ESPN.com, and I'm looking at the Major League Baseball season. I'm like, what if I were to do a true tour? What would it look like? What's the date? So I started looking at putting things on my calendar. It's like, it would take about 32 weeks to hit all 30 Major League Baseball parks across the country. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I write this down. I put my calendar. I don't think anything about it. Well, I bet on myself by marketing and trying to get the word out when I was doing it. Suddenly, over the matter of like 2-3 weeks, I started getting phone calls from real estate investment clubs and associations across the country that were seeing my blog, seeing my videos, and like, hey, they reach out to me, hey, can we use your article in our newsletter? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, would you like to come speak to our audience? Would you like to come talk and share what you're doing? Because this is a niche that most people don't know about. I was like, yeah. When would you like for me to come? And they sent me a couple of dates. I look at these dates and they would line up perfectly when I would have been in the city for this tour.
I love stories like this. Hang on, let me savor this moment just as you planned it, right? Okay, go on.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, okay, that's a little divine intervention. I'm like, this is kind of crazy. So I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's literally go full force. So over a matter of the next 2 weekends, I'd had, garage sales, estate sales, sold basically everything I owned except for my dog, my truck, and some clothes and a little knickknacks in here and stuff like that.
I'm glad you hung on to clothes and dog and truck's good plan if you're driving around.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it. I set out, I drive up to Dallas, I speak there, I go to a ball game, I meet some new people. Next day I'm in Houston, Texas, go to a ball game, speak to a club. And over the next, what I thought would be just 30 weeks, it turned into basically 3.5 to 4 years of nonstop travel, not only across the country, but internationally. I had people that asked me to come speak on cruises and speaking, across the pond there in London and Spain and travel and stuff like that. And I didn't have a lot of money when I went out. I think I had like $1,500 when I started out. There's no way I'd be able to afford it, but I was like, I will figure this out. I'll find a way. I'll offer a class and sell something along the way, and that's what happened. Into this journey, I started having people reach out to me like, hey, I see that you're coming to Tampa Bay. We've got a guest house. We'd love to have you stay in if you're interested, or would you like to spend the night with us? Or can we take you out to dinner? And it just blossomed and really kind of like we call it here now like a grassroots effort of marketing. It just absolutely spread my message across the country. 2 years later, I became the educator of the year in my field. It was just absolutely one of the most mind-boggling things that ever happened to me. Not everybody has that opportunity. I don't have kids. I wasn't married at the time. I didn't have really the trappings of life that can sometimes hold us down. And I think so many entrepreneurs and individuals, we get so bogged into owning stuff that it ends up owning us in a lot of cases. Okay. And in businesses, sometimes we get so bogged down into, we've got to do it a specific way. We can't shift from it, or this is the way that we've always done things. And that stops us from being creative and overcoming issues or identifying new solutions to old problems. And that's one of the things I think I really love doing, is looking at an issue. And like when we're talking with not only our investors, but we deal with a lot of people in their worst moments. They're losing their house, they're being foreclosed upon, or they haven't paid their mortgage in 6 months to 6 years. And when we buy that debt at a big discount, it's always like, hey, what can we do to help? What's your situation? Are you working? Pay, stay, but we can figure out something that makes sense for you. Do we need to
yeah. Did that? Okay, I'm not saying a word.
But that's what I'm trying to.
I was deep south.
Yeah, exactly. It was very deep south, a little accent here, But I think that's the biggest thing is looking at the situation. When we all get bogged down in situation, we all can go down the rabbit hole and being depressed about things. Sometimes you just got to shake things up, go do something different, bet on yourself, because nobody else is going to bet on you. And people are attracted to people that are action takers. I could have sat at my house, okay, this isn't going to work, and just completely not done anything. Tried to go back and get a job. Who knows where I would be? But I know one thing right now, that those that take action, no matter if you succeed or fail, you actually learn something about yourself by taking action. You actually get in the game. You're much wiser for that action being taken. You learn what you messed up on and you can apply to it. So many people never get out of the starting blocks, and they like, well, I can't do that, so let me just give up before I ever get rock and rolling. And that's
it's that fear, isn't it? It's the fear that holds you back, and you're like, I can't do that because of this. If you want to have a reason, you'll find 100 reasons not to do something. And the thing is, nobody actually stops and says, well, did you think you could do that? And be like, well, no, I can't, because I've got all this. And it's like, well, actually, forget all that, just do it. And one of my strap lines, and I love what you're saying, is just do it. And I think I clawed it before Nike did, and I didn't get paid somehow. So Nike takes the pride on that one. But all my logos used to say, just do it and think about it afterwards. And it's like, have no regrets, because you've learned as you've gone on, and it's never a fail. It is never a fail. It's a lesson. So, you look at Edison. Thank God for Edison, is all I'm going to say. How hard
Yep.
did that guy try? What gives us the right to go, I tried it once and it didn't work. So, yeah, right behind you on that. Take action. And I love that takeaway. So that's your takeaway today. Is that what we're going to give everybody and say, what are we doing today? We're going to
just do it. We're going to take action.
just do it and take action. He'll take my line, I'll take his. That'll be it, Scott. I've had so much fun talking to you, and like, entrepreneurs overcome everything. It doesn't matter how bad the day's going. We're on it. We're together. We deliver. We show up and we take action. Definitely. Love it. Listen, take care and have an amazing afternoon. I'm going to probably say thank you as well.
Thank you, CHRISTA. You too. Be safe out there. Enjoy your trip and stay cool.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Club 10M Plus's exciting new podcast that's here for you. We are all about stories, new developments, and learning about individuals. Our hope is that you will join us every week to hear about our distinguished guests. We hope to inspire you, bring you laughter, and make you reflect. Our guests come from all walks of life, and primarily they want to share their stories. Not sure about you, but I love a good story. So Club 10M Plus have devoted their time to creating these podcasts, to sharing great ideas and stories, and much more. So tune in every week to make sure that you don't miss out. It could be you next week. Want to know more? We want to hear your stories, so sign up and be our next guest.